I'm not going to be the guy that says the Pittsburgh Steelers will make the playoffs. I will be the guy that says there's a chance. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talk or anywhere you get your podcast. And for the first time all season, I'm going to be genuine when I say this. I'm going to actually believe it. There's a chance that everybody who texted me and said the Steelers will go on a run, everybody who DM'd me on Twitter, everybody who tagged me on Twitter or told me in passing or told me at family events, there were a lot of people who said, I think the Steelers could go on a run. I think that they still got a chance. Season's not over yet. And meanwhile, I'm sitting around talking about the fifth pick in the draft. For the first time, I'm going to acknowledge that maybe you're right. Maybe they could go on a run and find their way into the playoffs. Maybe the season isn't over yet. Maybe it's not even close to over yet. We're entering week 14. There's 4 weeks left. They're 2 games out of the playoffs. And man, for just my lifetime, I have seen much wilder things for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'll tell you this. You look at these runs of the past, the Steelers barely made it in. It was a miracle. I remember the year, I don't remember if the Bills needed to win or lose, but I remember sitting on my couch as a kid praying that the Bills won or lost. And that they were playing a team. I want to say it was the Jets. I want to say the Jets didn't make it in, or the Jets needed to win. Whoever they needed to lose to for the Steelers to get in was really bad. And there was no way it should have happened, and it did. I remember that perfectly, except for who was playing and who needed to get in. And this year just seems very different. But it seems different in a number of ways, good and bad. For the good, this team has some things going for it, but they're picking up at the right time. It's not they should have been good all season. It was they should have been really bad all season, and somehow they've already hit a point where they're capable of winning football games. And you'd have to expect that they're probably going to win a couple more. And the fact that they possibly get to play the Baltimore Ravens, more like probably get to play the Baltimore Ravens without Lamar Jackson this week, means that it's very believable to say that they could walk out of Pittsburgh in week 14 on Sunday with another win, move to 6-7 on the year, bump the Ravens down another game. So now they're 2 games behind the Ravens, on top of 2 games behind the Jets. If the Jets win, I mean, that's a lot going on right there. That's a close race right there. That's 1 game out of 500. And if you get over 500, you got a shot at making the playoffs. You always do. And if Mike Tomlin somehow turns this season into a win, somehow keeps that streak alive, I do not care what anybody says. I do not care about all the people that are sitting around talking about, oh, yeah, that's a dumb streak. I don't care. We need to win playoff games. Agreed. The Steelers do need to win some playoff games. But this year was a clear indication that the Steelers were on a downward spiral for years, and they held it together as strong as possible. A couple of years ago, stronger than any team on a downward spiral ever. This year was a clear indicator of it should have collapsed, because everybody needs to collapse at some point, and then you got to build it back up. And if they've already done that, if they somehow took a team that collapsed and then rebuilt, brand new quarterback, brand new offense, brand new offensive line, and somehow pulled off another winning record and fought their way possibly into the playoffs, I mean, credit where credit is due. At some point, you do have to acknowledge that's incredible. But say they win this week. Say they beat the Ravens at home, which is very doable without Lamar Jackson. And then they sit there at 6-7, hoping that the New York Jets lose. The Jets play the Bills this week. And at some point, you got to think that Mike White magic is going to run out. And against Buffalo, in December, you got to think that seems like the time that that's going to happen. Then you're a game back from the Jets. One game back from the Jets. With games against the Lions, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, and the Dolphins left. The Dolphins, who could be fighting for a playoff spot along with a bunch of other teams come week 18, including the Steelers. That's just nuts to me. And then you look at the Steelers schedule. You go Lamar Jackson-less Baltimore Ravens at home. You got to feel good about that one. Then you travel to Carolina to play the Panthers in a game that you could only expect is pretty much a home game again. A team that has struggled all season long, who could barely decide on a quarterback. Got to imagine that one could be a win too. You then come back home, host the Las Vegas Raiders on Christmas Eve, the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. The place is going to be awesome. And let me tell you this, I do not care what else is happening or how things are working or what the Raiders are doing or not doing well. I am not spending my Christmas Eve at Acrisure Stadium covering the Pittsburgh Steelers and they lose. There are rules to this. One of the rules going into the season was, the beat writers don't have to hang out with their family on Christmas Eve. We will sacrifice that and the Pittsburgh Steelers will win. It was in the fine print. I read it. And then you go back to Baltimore, probably to play Lamar Jackson, but he is week to week, and you don't know what that means. And the Steelers play Baltimore and Lamar Jackson as well as anybody in the NFL. And then you finish the season against the Browns at home. I don't know. To finish the season at worst 8-9 or 9-8. That just seems wild to me. That seems like a situation that you could have never imagined a couple of weeks ago, that you could have never thought of when the team was losing to Cincinnati or heading into the bye against the Eagles. You just never once thought this season will turn itself around. And here we are. Kenny Pickett is playing like a starting quarterback, maybe not a Super Bowl winning starting quarterback, but he's getting better each week. Najee Harris is back. The defense is doing what they need to win. And the schedule is in the Steelers' favor. They're going to hope that a couple of other teams lose as well. But you play the Browns, who currently sit ahead of you in the standings. If you beat them and you beat the Baltimore Ravens twice, you're in a good spot. You beat the Las Vegas Raiders, you already have the tiebreaker there. And then you just have to hope that the Patriots, who might have more issues than the Steelers right now, can lose a game. And you hope that the Chargers could lose a game, if not two. And that gets rid of everybody in the hunt. And then you're just waiting for the Jets. And I don't know. I think the Jets are back. I'm not going to say that they're not. And I think that Robert Saleh is a good coach, and that organization is finally looking like it's on the up and up. But there's just something about the Jets that if there was any team, maybe outside of the Cleveland Browns, that you want sitting in that spot, that you think you could overtake it somehow, that you think luck and a miracle and fate and the NFL magic is all going to work in your favor, I don't know. The Jets just seem like the team that you want to be sitting there. You got to feel really good about that one. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that we're heading into week 14, and here we are talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and a potential playoff run. But it's real. It's alive. And I think we should start getting excited about it, because I don't know if this season is going to end January 7th. I think it could keep going.